I honestly didn't know whether I should have looked forward to this movie or not when it first came out, because on one hand, it's coming out in August, like somewhat toward the end of August too, and that's when Hollywood just likes to dump all their movies out there. But on the other, it's Dracula, and I am a huge Dracula fan, so I went in with mixed feelings. Let's talk about it.
May God have mercy on us all.
What's up, guys? My name's Crispy, and I just got back from seeing The Last Voyage of the Demeter. I'm a huge fan of the Bram Stoker novel, and I think that the scene from the captain's logs where he describes the voyage of the Demeter with crew members disappearing one by one as they carry a monstrous cargo, I find that shit the creepiest scene in the book, and I am so glad that someone decided to make a full movie out of it. Apparently, the director, Andre Overdahl, I am so sorry if I'm butchering that name, he's the same guy who did movies like Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, and I liked that movie, and I was really looking forward to seeing what he would do in this kind of scenario. It's a shame that Hollywood didn't feel the same, because apparently this movie went through a ton of development hell. Rewrite after rewrite, directors being hired, then leaving, and then new ones being hired. It was a whole circus, apparently. And unfortunately, it's not getting much of a return so far. The budget was like 45 million. It made 6.5 million opening weekend, came in number 5 during the opening weekend. That is not good. And Renfield got a similar result. It sucks, man. No one wants to see Dracula movies right now, it seems. I'm sorry, what, do we want to go back to Twilight or something? I guess that would make money. It's probably gonna happen someday. But aside from the whole money thing, aside from what went into the behind-the-scenes thing going into this movie, did I like it? I liked it. I thought it was nice. I don't think it's a great movie, but I do think it's a good one. I really like it. The set design is very good. The atmosphere is underutilized, but also very good. The direction is great. They film a lot of these scenes around water and in the rain, which, having worked on a set during the rain before, I know just how nightmarish that can get. It's definitely got quite a few impressive film achievements going into it. Not a lot that I can foresee getting talked about to the extent of something like Oppenheimer, but still something really good. What I think mainly makes this movie work, though, more than anything, is the cast. Especially Corey Hawkins. He does a very convincing British accent and gives a very good, very compelling performance. Honestly, his performance was very, very scene-carrying. Ian Cunningham plays the captain in this movie, and he seems to be getting typecast a lot as like sailor characters, like first Davos and now this guy, and hey, I'm here for it. He plays the leadership roles very well. He plays the roles of a humble everyman who is taking his duty as a leadership of people very seriously. I'm cool with him getting cast in these kinds of roles. The one actor in this movie who probably does the best job, though, who I do not see anybody getting miscast, David Dalsmachian, is the MVP of this movie. This man is just an incredibly versatile actor. It's been amazing seeing his journey on screen because, for one, he is taking so many roles. He is working his ass off. I really hope he is making bank right now because, by God, with his work ethic and his talent, he is earning it. But it's also really cool when you see an actor who's come that far, who's also been through one hell of a personal journey. Apparently, the man dealt with a massive drug addiction once upon a time that almost ruined his life. That is one hell of a hurdle, and he made it. He made it, and here he is now, just playing so many roles, and apparently he's also a really humble guy, so mad respect to this man, seriously. And he does a great job in this movie. He brings a lot of intensity and emotion and just like fright, but also a feeling of like, you know, he's hardened and he's trying to hold it together. He captures every emotion that he needs to in this movie perfectly. And I am going to look up this actor's name later, but they have a kid actor in this movie who also does a really good job, not just with his verbal acting, but with like selling the fear, you know, acting with his physicality. This kid does a really good job. I'm really excited to see what he does later on. But of course, we got to talk about Dracula. I can see some people having mixed feelings about this interpretation of the character. Personally, I really like this take on Dracula. Not only does he look great with like a very good combination of VFX and practical effects going on there, but I really like how they focus on Dracula as like this primal force. I really like vampires. I think they're cool because of the humanity that is there, which is why it's easy to forget that vampires in origin are basically supposed to be monsters putting on a human affect. Dracula in this movie has no reason to hold back. He is going full monster. He is these people up, and I really like how we see him go through modes. At first, like, he's crawling, he's starving, but he can suddenly like zoom ahead and get you. He's like LeBron James Gollum, bro. But then as he progresses, like, you know, he starts to stand taller, he can suddenly fly, and I really like that focus, and I like how his personality comes through as well. You can tell that this dude is buying into his own hype. You can tell that he's a troll and that he's a sadist. And you can buy that when the time comes, he probably will be able to sell a brief disguise. And without giving too much away, there is kind of a scene right toward the end of the movie where we see a taste of that. And honestly, it's a really, really good scene that's very well shot and very well executed. Unfortunately, I did say this was a movie that I like and that I don't love. And it's unfortunate because there's a lot that this movie could have done and a lot of chaff that it could have cut out to make itself much better. It is a movie that is 2 hours long, really doesn't have to be, could have been half an hour shorter, and I think a lot of that is owed to just a lot of exposition they cram in. I found myself mentally clocking out of this movie a lot because it just around with the tone so much. You will have very tense scenes at night where Dracula comes out to play, but then you'll have scenes during the day that do a very good job selling just like the trauma and the fear that these people are going through, having seen that there is a monster on this ship. And the movie definitely does get sad. There are two characters who go specifically who make you really feel it. But I think the end result of that is the movie kind of feeling like a bummer. I would have rather had them go for a fun approach that focused more on the action of it. I'm not saying kill the scares, I'm saying show, don't tell. Let the storytelling happen in the atmosphere and what the characters do. Give it more of that. There is so much you can do in this scenario. You could have Dracula secretly turning the crew members into vampires, and they have to go after other crew members, or they themselves get eaten by the dude. You don't know who's working for Dracula, you don't know who isn't. You can make something tense like that happen, but they go for a very predictable, formulaic approach that I think kind of robs this movie of its potential intrigue and its potential suspense, and they do cut into these scenes a lot to go for exposition. Now, there are scenes where it does work. Corey Hawkins' character has a monologue about how he basically went through hell to get this degree as a scientist. He's basically sort of the Abraham of the movie, by the way. He has a very scientific, very reasoned approach to the superstition going on the ship. And he talks about how he had to go through hell to get his degree, but then no one would hire him because of the color of his skin. That's a really well done scene that's perfectly placed and really well written and edited and of course acted out. And there's another scene where Liam Cunningham has to be talked down from doing something that will everybody over. This second scene, I think, is done particularly well because it's framed in terms of the action. There are stakes. He's kind of going a little kooky because of everything that has happened, like so many of the other crew members are, and he has to be talked down from doing something. And during that dialogue, we get a glimpse into just what Dracula does to people, his real power over people and his corrupting influence. I think if we got more scenes like that, it would have been to the movie's benefit big time. But instead, we're taking out of the action so many times, and it really is kind of a bummer. It's especially bad with Aisling Franchoisi's character. By the way, she's great in this movie, delivers a terrific performance as she usually does, but her character feels like she is there for exposition and not much else. And speaking of the wishy-washy tone of this movie, in the third act of this film, it decides to stop being a horror flick and just turns into a Hollywood thing. He's down to the last guys, and instead of just going straight for the kill, biting their throats out, clawing them to death, he just starts swatting them around and trying to suffocate them in his wings. He goes for like the just sort of big villain smash without killing you because you're the main character's mwah, kisses and hugs bullshit that usually goes down in the third act of the movie. And that kind of sucks, but at the end of the day, this movie's strengths do win out over its flaws. The acting is great, the direction is great, the visual storytelling is really good. It's just that they have that big strength that they could have just like immersed themselves in big time, but for some reason they choose not to. And of course, again, you've got a really cool take on the Dracula character. After taking it out of the oven, as a lover of movies and a lover of vampires, I say I can give this movie a nice 78%. It's just a fun time, it's nice, could have been a lot better, but for what it is, I like it. Also, I feel like I should talk about this part. I forgot yesterday, but they try to give sort of kind of a sequel hook, which I got mixed feelings on. I hope they're trying not to make a cinematic universe out of this. The Dark Universe failed, just leave it alone. But, you know, a sequel in and of itself, you know, I wouldn't mind seeing a sequel to this movie. I think it'd be pretty hype. Why not? Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please make sure to like, share, subscribe. Come join the Crispy Kingdom. We are all royals here. I also have a gaming channel, a clip channel. You can find me on the Global Nerds podcast on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. You can find links to various projects I am in down below, including Power Rangers Unworthy, Power Rangers Digital Beast, Power Rangers Dark Unity, Power Rangers Western Strike. It's a lot of Power Rangers stuff, I know. And a short film that I recently started entitled One Heart. Thank you guys so much, as always, for watching. This has been Crispy. And that's it. The Krisp spoken. Take care.